Got Your Back Podstream is brought to you by Mr. Dirk. From casual wear to suits and formals, Mr. Dirk helps you find the perfect fit with the right look for any occasion. Step up your wardrobe at mrdirk.com. You know, when you don't show up to work on time, it just might be a crappy day. And that is what the Edmonton Oilers had today in Pittsburgh. Welcome to Got Your Back, folks. Live post-game edition. Oilers getting behind early, and despite pretty good effort after that, did not have enough in the tank to come back. 5-3 the final score against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Getting set to break it all down on tonight's show. Jason Strudwick is waiting to go. Chris Sabunia is at the controls. And we'll check in with Rob Brown a little bit later in the evening. As always, our show is brought to you by our title sponsor, Play Alberta, the official gaming partner of all the major Alberta teams. Whoever you cheer for, Play Alberta's cheering you on. Bet on your favorites. Get in on odds boosts and make game time more interesting. Deposit today and get a $50 free bet with the code GYB01. That is code GYB01. Visit playalberta.ca. Coming at you from my on-location Adrenaline Diesel studio out here in beautiful Sedona, Arizona. Check with, they've now got an online store, does Adrenaline Diesel, so they'll take care of all your diesel truck parts needs. You can see them at adrenalinediesel.ca. All right, let's check in. Struds and I are both on the road for tonight, Zuby, which I don't know if that creates a bit of a technical nightmare for you or not, but rumor has it, Zoobs, after back-to-back podcasts of Strudwick sounding like he was talking into a garbage can, we have his microphone sorted out. Struds, give us a check 1, 2. Are we good?
Checking. Hello, everybody. Oh. Can you hear my organ loud and clear?
Listen to that.
That's beautiful.
Listen to that.
Yeah,
Zuby.
I don't even really want to.
How much of a technical lift was it, Struddy? We worked on this literally for days. Steve was chiming in on the group chats. We had multiple video sessions trying to get it all figured out. So, Zuby, I imagine this was a big lift. What was it, guys? What was the deal? What happened?
I mean, Zuby, you know, we go into such depth technically. I mean, it's going to flow right over your heads, guys. So I don't want to embarrass or bore anyone of the listeners with it's just incredible how deep we went before we found the solution. So thank you to Zuby for solving this.
No worries. Yeah, I'm something of a tech wizard. It was permissions and all kinds of deep. It was a rabbit hole.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to I'm gonna go ahead and just demand an answer as the guy in charge of this show. So Struds, point blank, what happened?
Yeah. It's a new mic. There's complicated features on it, and why waste our time? There's a big game that we got to break down, and let's just let it be said that we had our 3 masterminds on it, and it was complicated. I don't want to embarrass or talk over people's head. That's not what I do on this show. I dumb it down, and this one you can't dumb down.
One last chance to come clean. One of the two of you needs to come clean as to what was going on here, Zuby. One last chance. I don't like this united front you guys have going right now. Just throw him under the bus. You would throw me under the bus so fast. Where's this loyalty coming from?
There's a hidden button on Strud's mic. Let's just say there's a button that doesn't jump out at you until you read the manual.
Volume button or something, Struds? Just the volume button? Did you don't
dumb it down, Sugar? Don't be that. Don't dumb this down. This was a complicated process. We actually called the owner of the Road X company.
Empire.
They helped us do it.
Yep. And that's in Australia, I believe.
Busy guy from down under. Yeah, we compared Australian accents. So I don't know. Let's move on, guys. Let's not get bogged down in the details of just the minutia of how hard it was and the difference it made.
Right. Well, I'm just glad that we can hear the organ loud and clear tonight, Struds, and that you found the volume button, buddy. I love it. Zuby.
Yes.
You've got to ask us anything tonight. You've got a poll coming up tonight as well, so you'll be keeping track of all the best comments. And by the way, we've made contact with Northern Farm Girl a little bit. Hey, a regular and a popular one here on the show. We had a little not tonight, but is there something we can look forward to with Northern Farm Girl here in episodes ahead?
Yeah, there's something coming. Well, for Ask Us Anything, there was one night where it was a little slow on Ask Us Anything, so I said, it might have been a non-game night. I said, I need some people to chime in with other stuff too. And she came in and said, what's everybody's sign? And we just kind of put that out really quickly. And then she said that she'd like to do an astrological reading for each of us. So that might be coming. Northern Farm Girl might be joining us via audio to look ahead into the year for each of us on the pod here, and maybe give a little look ahead to what's coming, and based on our signs and our personalities, and maybe other factors. I don't know what else she's got in her bag of tricks, but yeah,
love it. Right on. Look forward to that in an upcoming episode. Zuby, we'll check in with you in a little bit, buddy.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get to breaking down this game. The Oilers and the Pittsburgh Penguins, brought to you by the Alberta Ram dealers. The 4x4 winter event is here. Get up to $11,200 in total discounts on a 2024 Ram 1500 DT Bighorn at your Alberta Ram dealer. They're all across the province. So if you like what you see here, and why wouldn't you? What a gorgeous looking truck. Contact your Ram dealer today in your area. Okay, Struds. I said it off the top. I mean, if you're not going to show up on time, you might have a bit of a tough night. And that was certainly the way that it went for the Edmonton Oilers. They find themselves down 3-0, basically right out of the gate, and just really struggled to kind of grab any of that or a lot of that back in the first period. So we can break down these goals. We can break down the issues that the Oilers had. But I know you're having a bit of a big picture thought here, a headline, a message to the head coach about the way that things went tonight with the guys.
So it's been a while since I've hijacked a segment, and we're long overdue. We're already 3 or 4, a week into 2025. So here we go.
You've been showing me lots of respect lately. It's been appreciated.
Yeah, I've tried to curtail it, but I can't hold it in. So as I was watching that game, and the Oilers got down early, and they started playing Leon, Connor, and Hyman all the time, along with Bouchard and Ekholm. Out there, shift after timeout, TV timeouts, power plays, to the tune that Leon and Connor played almost 27 minutes tonight. They were down 5-0. And yes, they made a valiant effort. Those 5 guys made a valiant effort to get the team back in there. But why just hammer on your horses in a game that clearly you're not going to win? It's hard to come back from 5-1. They're down 5-1. Let's call it halfway through the game. And then you hammer your horses trying to get back, and you get to 5-3, great. But you keep putting them out there for nothing at the end of it. I think in this situation, it's okay for the coach to say, we don't have it tonight, guys. We're going to roll four lines. We're going to roll 60. And yeah, it might get up worse. I don't know. But where is the value in hammering on your top players to try to win a game that's out of reach? I don't see it. I'm sorry, I don't get it. It's not the playoffs. I believe this was a misstep by Knobloch, one of the few that we've seen this year.
Yeah, really interesting point, Struds. I think it's pretty astute. Here's the thing, though. He went nuclear so early in this game, right? I mean, he really did before they were even down that far. Like, I got here in my notes, so they were down 1-0 in this game. And by the way, the McDavid's line came out and had a great start to the game. They almost scored. If Connor Brown had any finish there, like that puck, Bouchard made a nice play and it was right on his stick. And they could have easily been up 1-0 in the first shift of the game, and maybe the whole thing goes different. But what happened is they went to a commercial break, and they came out of the commercial break, and already he had 27 and 97 and 29 together. with Arvidsson, if you recall how early he made that switch and threw those guys out together. So for whatever reason, Chris Knobloch had it in his head tonight that I don't know if he didn't like what he saw in the early going, if something bothered him, but he had absolutely zero patience, zero, for letting his lines settle in tonight. He flipped real early. And then to your point, as things got further and further out of hand, it was a potion he couldn't stop drinking. Like, it would have been given up on the game not having those guys play together because they were dominating a lot of their shifts. So I understand where he was coming from, but I hear what you're saying, man. Look at their ice time struds. Like, they played an absolute crap ton in this game. Meanwhile, the rest of the guys, basically the last 5 minutes of the game, are just sitting there like, gee, I wonder if they're going to win it for us. What do you think? I'm not sure. Yeah, this will be fun to watch. Like, those guys were out there for the entire last 5 minutes, basically.
Yeah, and that's very true. So how can I? So we could go back to before the game, maybe looking at this Pittsburgh lineup, and you see that they have really one big line because no Malkin in this lineup. Maybe that's a night you start with your nuclear option, right? And now I didn't say this last pod. I didn't even think this before the game, but maybe that's something to do because you know that they can, if those three guys are going to outplay Sid, then you go from there and they let the other 9 guys try to outplay the rest of the group. Mm-hmm. But you're right. They went to it early, but at 5-1, it seemed like he started going to more and more and more. And God, they were out there. And you were just, hammering on those horses, hoping to get back into a game that was lost. Just accept defeat. I'm a competitive guy too, but I'm looking down the bench and like, guys, it's 5-1. It's not going for us tonight. And of course, those 5 guys are going to create a lot. And Louis and Jack talked about a lot. Yeah, they're getting a lot of chances. Yeah, they're out there every other shift. I hope they're getting chances, and they're some of the best players in the world. So I'm always trying to recognize the energy level of your top players and when it's time to go all in and when it's not time to go all in. And I think this was a misstep because this is one of those games where you play 10% of the games where there's, you don't have a chance to win. It just goes sideways right from the get-go, and that was it tonight. Why? Was it because they're tired? I don't think so. They haven't played a ton of games. There's not a ton of back-to-backs. The travel has been a little bit hairy. But, I don't know that it just happens sometimes. Some of these games happen. And so I feel that Knobloch was stubborn in his pursuit of trying to win a game that I don't think was winnable.
Okay, some reaction to your assertion here on the stream. Neil Garrity says, totally agree with Struds. VA says, Struddy, more than half the team didn't deserve to play tonight. So VA frustrated with the quality that a lot of the other players brought to this game. That's one way to bench the rest of the team, says some stranger. Quaddy, it's because their wingers kept turning the puck over. He basically benched them. Andy Cherwonka says Struds is 100% bang on. And Mr. Casual says 98%. So he agrees mostly with you. So let's discuss because it's risk reward, right? If you're going to ride those guys, they give you the best chance of getting back into this game and maybe grabbing a point, maybe grabbing 2 points. Had they scored at any point in that third period, like if they'd have got one, Struds, I think we both knew they were coming back in that game at some point. So there's the reward, and I can understand Knobloch wanting to continue to drink that elixir. What was the risk? Like, it's just strictly cumulative fatigue that you're concerned about? Are they not going to be as good in a couple of days' time in Chicago? Like, what was the risk factor for you?
I'm just looking at wear and tear over the course of a whole season. Right? And yes, they're in shape, and yes, they're in the prime of their careers. I get all those things, but I remember one time we were playing. I think it was in the playoffs with the Rangers and Jaromir Jagr. We were down by 3 or 4 to 1, and he never killed penalties. But Tom Ray decided to put him out in the penalty kill, and just trying to get anything going. And I get it, but he actually hurt himself on that penalty kill. And I always think, like, what are we chasing down? The game's over. And yeah, you never want to say that. We're battling, we're fighting for it. But sometimes you have to admit that this is a fight you're not going to win. So I suppose the reward would be the 2 points or the 1 point, which would be great. But the expense of that is you just grinded these guys down to the tune of 27 minutes for a midseason game in Pittsburgh, right? This isn't against an elite team, and it was a close one. Like I don't see the value in it. I know points count, but the Oilers are going to make the playoffs. They're 100% they're going to make the playoffs. Now, will they catch Vegas? Vegas is playing Islanders right now, so we'll find out if they catch them. But sometimes you just got to say, okay, guys, we're not selling anything today. Let's close up the farmer's market shop, go home, and we'll live to fight another day, because it just wasn't there.
I mean, I know what you're saying. I don't necessarily, I don't think the messaging would be you're closing up shop and just accepting the loss. But I think maybe the thought process could be, Struds, okay, if there are any points to be had today, then it's going to be everybody that's going to be part of that. In other words, like, because this is what happened. They just leaned so heavy on those other guys, on the big guns, right? Through that, like their shifts, these are Leon Draisaitl's, like 2 of his last 3 shifts, 2 minutes and 19 seconds, 3 minutes and 1 second. Well, I think they had a 50-second shift sandwiched in between. McDavid, 2:21 and 3:03. This in the last 6 minutes of the game. Evan Bouchard, 2:23, 3:02. So you've basically got the rest of your team just sitting there watching these guys play. Like they might as well, unstrap their helmet. And so you come away with no points. You come away with those guys just sitting there like it's a McDavid and Draisaitl show as per normal. Like I almost would have preferred if Knobloch said, all right, like just roll the lines. And if you're going to get back into it, you're going to need some contributions from your fourth line. You're going to need some contributions, like make it more of a group effort to see if you can get back in the game, not just make it so crystal clear that it's just going to be all about those guys tonight.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. So I'm going to get to this Twitter comment that came off. It says it's from 2-4 Instigating. Sure. Looked pretty sharp to me, besides the first 20, that is. When you put out 5 amazing players, they're going to look pretty sharp. They're going to go. So this isn't a case that they didn't play, like those 5 guys weren't going. They were going. But, that's the outcome you're going to get. But you're probably going to come up short. For them to score 5 goals to win the game in 40 minutes, or actually 30 minutes because they're down 5-1. That's a lot to ask, even for these superhuman players. So Connor disagreed. Leon disagreed. They all disagree with me. But I don't know. I don't think it's worth it. Play everybody, roll it out.
You're always the caretaker of the big picture, of the energy stores. Struds is the caretaker of the Oilers' energy reserves through the course of a year. It's a grind, buddy? 100%. So Ro Nilsson says
this year.
Yeah. Well, the goal is to go deep into the playoffs, right? And you're going to need guys. Ro Nelson says, agree 100% with you, Struddy. Knobloch historically overplays his best players, and I feel it's a big reason they were gassed in the Stanley Cup final. Maturity says, let the depth play and build their legs instead. Yeah, Could have been value in the group trying to get back into that game. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would disagree with Ro. I don't think he overplays his guys unless it's really needed. And I think there's a difference. I think every team does that. So I think we got to be careful a little bit of that. Because I think when the team was really rolling, they're rolling 4 deep. Just ask, I think that's how it works. So I would disagree. Tonight, though, this was, to me, a misstep in his usage of his big guys.
Yeah. All right, good stuff. Let's get to our Weiss Johnson sound box and hear what some of the fellas were saying after the game. If it's time for a new furnace, garage heater, or water tank, Weiss Johnson's here for all your home comfort needs, specializing in servicing your existing systems or installing new ones. Stay cozy this winter. Visit weiss-johnson.com today.
Weiss Johnson, whoa.
Okay, Struds, you were on Postgame tonight. I believe we had Kulak and we had Ekholm. So I'm not even, I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet. So I'll sort of lean on you guys, but go ahead and pick what you want, Struds.
Yeah, let's start with the mighty Swede, Matthias Ekholm. And he was asked, was this a bad day by the Oilers or a good by the Pens?
Great question. I don't know. I guess as much up to you guys to decide than me maybe, but I don't really know if I have a great answer for you. Sometimes you're right though. Like sometimes you can play probably a worse period and just be down 2 or 1. For some reason, they all seem to go in. We made some mistakes, right, and they ended up in the back of our net. Some nights that's going to happen. At least I thought we bounced back and we battled better in the last 40. But again, when you're trying to climb out of a hole like that, it's hard.
Mm-hmm. And then some Brett Kulak as well, Struds?
No, just Knobloch. So Knobloch about just his thoughts on the start by his team.
We weren't ready. They outworked us, outskated us. Attention to details wasn't there. We had a heck of a game effort-wise and work ethic against Boston. And tonight, the first 20 minutes, we absolutely took off, and the deficit was too big for us to overcome.
Yeah, they did take the first 20 minutes off. Okay, Struds, let's dive into a little bit of what we saw and run our way through the goals here. So as we said, the Oilers had that nice chance to get out to the 1-0 lead. A lot of pop in McDavid's step on that first shift, but they don't finish. And then Rickard Rakell, nice little season he's putting together, 21 goals, an even strength goal. Just kind of traffic in front there, kind of hops on a rebound. Did you see a core mistake there that you would point out on the first one?
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what it is. I mean, there's guys that are, it just felt, this is going to sound like a blanket statement, but the Oilers were just a half step behind defensively tonight. And when you're doing that, you're reaching, you're trying to get, trying to find someone that can make a play. Just off the rush, they're not quite there. Their sticks aren't in the lane. So yeah, like it's just not quite there, not covering guys. Bouchard is standing there just trying to find someone to cover. And so it's just a half step behind on that goal in front for a rebound. Bit of a greasy one from Skinner.
Brian Russ got the 2-0 goal. The little battles matter a lot. So you got Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid in the face-off circle. And, I think it was a tough night for McDavid overall, if I remember correctly. Let me check here. He was 27% in the face-off circle. And tough to go up against Sid, who's, become a real good face-off guy in his own right, although he was only 41% tonight. But that face-off, it was basically a tie. Like it goes to the half wall, goes to the boards. And Darnell Nurse is the first one on the scene, Struds, and just didn't make a good play with it. It was like he just turned it over when he was the first one there, and that set off a sequence of events on that second goal.
You know what? I would actually challenge you. I thought it was an Oilers one face-off, and they weren't able to make a play right there. And that's so
make it worse then. Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I think as a D-man, your guy wins it. They're trying to bump it and get it over. Well, the Pens jump in on him quickly and get the puck, and they're unable to make a play there. So yeah, I'd actually say that it was a 1-1. And then I thought that Skinner was a little bit off his post, right? He maybe a little bit too deep in and just too far in the middle of the ice. And he finds, he being Russ finds, I don't think that was an amazing shot, but he slips it by Skinner.
So then 2-0 at that point, then Hayes ends up with the 3-0 goal. I didn't like Brett Kulak on this one. He's played some real good hockey lately, Struds, but I think there was a turnover from Brett Kulak that I think he lost a battle on the wall as well. And D-men go chasing, and Hayes basically left all alone in front of the net.
How many games is this? 41? Is this 41 games for the Oilers tonight or whatever?
I think it's 41.
Yeah. So I'd say this is the first game I thought Brett Kulak had an off night. So the play that you're talking about, he gets it, and he passes a really soft pass up to the wing. That's got to be a hard pass, right? Just a hard, decisive play. It's a soft one. It's intercepted. Then after that, they're just chasing. I always found it was hard when you got the puck and you're trying to pass it to your winger and it doesn't get there because of a tip or a bad pass. Now you're just struggling to react and trying to figure out where to be. So that was a tough play by Kulak. No.
Yeah. Leon Draisaitl ends up getting one. Love that rush from Zach Hyman. Holy smokes. He turned the Jets on, to get around the D-man and take that to the net. And then Leon Draisaitl is there to pick it up.
Do you know who skated around there? Who did he skate around there? Pettersson.
Was it Pettersson? I don't recall, yeah.
It's absolutely skated, blew right around him. I would suggest, I thought tonight, and this is not even what you're asking, I thought Pettersson tonight was good, but when the speed was coming at it, he had a bit of a challenge. He had some challenges there. So something to think about.
Interesting pickup, yeah.
For the Oilers.
Lots of discussion about him.
He played a ton tonight. But I thought when the speed hit, There was 2 or 3 times where he was unable to meet that speed, match it.
So you get the feeling recently here with deployment that the Oilers are, I don't know, trying to see what they've got in Josh Brown is kind of the way I've heard it described. They signed him to this 3-year deal. Feel like they got to get into some games at some point. Boston was a big mean rough and tumble team, so I understand him going in for that game. Then at times he's taking shifts with Darnell Nurse tonight. The Oilers have some momentum going after that goal, and so they double shift the big line, right? They come right back with the big guys after that 3-1 goal, and they're looking for more. But they throw Josh Brown out there with them, and as the Oilers get going in the offensive zone, he just can't make plays at the same pace, puts a puck into the opposition there, and like a high snapshot from the point that was just kind of awkward, and it's back down the other way. So interesting that the minutes they're trying to funnel to Brown here, and just sort of notable in that moment with the big guys back on the ice, bit of a misplay by him there.
Yeah, and then it kind of doubles down. He goes back to his own zone, and I love Brian Ross had a really good night tonight for the Penguins, for all the Penguins fans. But he's going behind the Oilers' net, and he gives a little fake left, and then goes right behind the net, and that just creates enough space between him and Josh Brown for him to make the nice pass over to who was that? Was that the Drew O'Connor goal or Raquel?
Yeah, that was O'Connor. Yeah.
So that's got to be Josh's Brown. That's got to be his bread and butter, right? I close and I just swallow that guy up into the wall. But he creates a little bit of space. He makes a backhand pass through, the middle of the ice, which isn't ideal either. But that's kind of a secondary issue. It was that separation. It was a really, really nice play by Rust. I think he had at least, was he 2-1 tonight? Whatever. He was really, really solid.
You okay with the Oilers trying to funnel some minutes here to Brown? I'm not sure if Stetcher's hurt or I don't know exactly what's going on there. I'm not on the road with the team, but what do you think of them trying to funnel him some minutes here?
Well, I'm guessing that they're trying to figure out if this is 7-8. Stetcher 7, Brown 8. If they go deep in the playoffs, how much can they use him? And I quite frankly, I was a lot like him. I'm not sure that he's a playoff regular when the playoffs starts. So if he's your 8th, you're getting pretty deep down there. You can probably hopefully hope he gets it done, because I'm assuming here they trade for someone else that fills out the top 6 spots and pushes Stetcher out. So are you comfortable with Josh Brown being 8? They're trying to get him into some NHL action. If what are you getting at 8 usually? Isn't it a tweener?
Yeah. Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, big time. All right. So in our next segment, we're going to talk a little bit more about Evan Bouchard. 11 shots on net, 5 blocked, and 3 missed the net. That's 19 shot attempts. 19 shot attempts for Evan Bouchard tonight. Ends up with an assist on the night and is +1, 19 shot attempts. That's got to be that has to be rare. We'll talk a little bit about him coming up in our next segment, where we think his play is at, and maybe in reference to the contract negotiation that's going to happen as well, and where that could be headed as of right now. In the meantime, let's get to our relentless player. Brownie is going to be joining us in the next segment as well. So UCAN Services will bring us our relentless player. Their annual comedy night fundraiser is almost here, and we can't wait. Purchase tickets or a table for one of these unforgettable comedy nights. You can donate items and experiences as well to be featured in the silent auction. Your support makes a massive difference. So to donate, grab your tickets, go to ucan.ca. It's a great night, bunch of nights, and a great local organization. Struds, who are we giving it to tonight, buddy?
Well, let's give it to Alex Nedeljkovic. Give the guy credit. Last time the Oilers played the Penguins, the Penguins were awful. They looked like they didn't want to be there. I think they paid $3 a public skate at Rogers Place, which is a pretty good deal. And tonight they came out with intention, and Nedeljkovic made some big saves. His post made a couple big saves as well, but that still counts. So Nedeljkovic, I thought he was very solid to keep this game a win for his team, because there were chances.
Yeah.
The Oilers had chances.
I'm with you, buddy. I think that's a good one. He made, some of the saves he made were really, really strong. How close did Draisaitl come there? I think that was Pettersson that pulled one off the, like, if that goes in, I mean, I think the Oilers are coming back in this game, right? So no, he was good though. He was really solid in the Penguins nets. Okay, that was our breakdown brought to you by Alberta Ram dealers. When we come back, we'll dig in a little bit on the Evan Bouchard conversation. Rob Brown likely checking in here at some time. We will get to our YouTube poll. We got Ask Us Anything coming up a little bit later on as well. So send in your comments to Zuby, and he is compiling those for our Ask Us Anything segment. Quick break. Throw us a like if you don't mind. Hit the thumbs up button, and we'll be right back.
With over 18 years in the industry, Kelly Zaretsky and her team at Blue Summit Accounting deliver client-focused solutions and financial guidance for success in a simple and comfortable way. Whether it's for corporate or personal needs, Blue Summit Accounting can help with taxes, estate planning, financial services, bookkeeping, and more. Get in touch today. Email bluesummitacct@gmail.com or call 780-416-9662.
Thinking of that dream vacation? A quick winter escape? Well, flight delays are dreadful. Hospital visits, not fun. Alberta Blue Cross gives you coverage for emergency medical care, cancellations, and lost baggage. Flexibility, reliability, even lounge access or a hotel if the delay is too much. Plus 24/7 travel support ensures you're never left out in the cold. Visit ab.bluecross.ca/travel to learn more. All right, time now for our takeaways brought to you by Horizon Ag and Turf. John Deere is a legendary brand, and Horizon Ag and Turf is your local John Deere dealer. Now, with 13 locations, visit Horizon Ag and Turf for all your lawn and garden, agricultural, commercial, landscaping, small construction, and golf course equipment needs. Man, they got it all, don't they? You know what they say, nothing runs like a deer. Check them out online. HorizonAGTurf.com. That is HorizonAGTurf.com. Mr. Rob Brown checks in from the vehicle. Brownie, how you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good. I got to be honest with you. A much more entertaining game than I was expecting. I think after the last number of games between these two teams, I was expecting a 5 or 6-1 victory. It didn't turn out the way that Oiler fans wanted, but as for excitement, that was as high event Oiler game as we've seen in a long, long time, both for and against.
Yeah. Well, Brownie, you're going to love what your co-host's main takeaway from the game was. I can't help but feel like maybe this is just like the total dichotomy between the two of you, because you come away from this game just fired up about how fun it was and all the offense that we saw. Struds, why don't you drop your I'm with you, Struds. Why don't you drop your theory quickly on Brownie, and we'll see what the big guy has to say.
Yeah, I don't mind being on an island here. I believe that Knobloch should have accepted he should have accepted the outcome halfway through the game that this was a lost game, to continue to play his horses and then double down and just absolutely hammer those guys for half a game to try to get back into a game that clearly wasn't going to be a win. That was a misstep by Knobloch. I'll hang up and listen.
Okay, now, here's where I disagree on that, because that game, I believe that the Oilers were in that game right till there was a minute to go in it. Seriously, the Oilers were one shot away from getting within the one, and they were all over the Penguins. The one that went on the goal line, Leon Draisaitl had back-to-back shots where he put his stick on his head. I do believe that playing their horses, Knobloch felt that they could win this hockey game. But here's what I'm going to say about the game, and I've been saying this for a while. They have to go nuclear. They have to put their three best players together, because 5-on-5, the way their lines are set up, are not scoring enough. They move Zach Hyman to the third line. He has not had a goal in 4 games playing on the third line. He's got Connor McDavid playing with Brown and Nugent Hopkins. 3 straight games, he had 0 even strength goals playing with those two. And I love Podkolzin and what he does in Arvidsson, but that line is not scoring. 1 goal since November for Podkolzin. Their 5-on-5 goals aren't there. That's why they have to put their best players together. And they've done it every game, it seems like, over the last 5 games. Either they're trailing or the game is closer than they want. Get Hyman back with McDavid. Seriously. Get him back where he belongs, because you are not going to win in the playoffs if you have to throw your three best players together night after night, shift after shift, because there are teams in the NHL in the playoffs that will be able to slow them down a bit, and they've got zero offense from any other line when those three guys are on the same line. I will now hang up and listen to your response, Jason.
Okay, let me chime in here. First of all, they weren't coming back and win the game. Leon, Connor, Hyman, and Ekholm and Bouchard, they were trying to win the game for the Oilers. So they played those guys the whole time. And I'll challenge you. They've had goals from different parts of the lineup, enough to get wins recently, right? So there's guys scoring.
They have their first line. Their first line has not scored a goal in 3 games.
Right.
Connor McDavid had 0 points, 0 in 3 games. And Hyman has had 0 goals
wins
on the third line.
2 of those games.
Yeah, they're wins, but that's against bad teams. Against bad teams.
Yeah,
bad teams.
Right. But Pittsburgh's a bad team too, right? They're a bad
I know they are. I know they are.
So
but they're putting their best players together because of it.
Yeah, I just look at it, and we can debate that if you want to play them together or not together, but to play them that much in a game 41. I just don't see the point at all.
I think, guys, like in listening to both of you, there's a little bit 2 conversations happening. So Brownie, you flat out want Hyman back, like just whatever, get the lines back in a little bit more familiar order. And I don't think it was so much the idea, Struds, for you that he put those guys back together. It was just the sheer volume of minutes that he leaned on those guys to play.
That's
like Connor McDavid played almost 27 minutes tonight. I mean, Leon Draisaitl was 27-20. 27-20 for Leon Draisaitl tonight. Evan Bouchard, almost 27 minutes. So, Brownie, I'll grant you that, yes, time to get the lines back together. But I do agree with Struds that pushing all your chips in on your big line to the tune of 27 minutes is a little much. I would have preferred he rolled the lines and let them all try and get back in the game together.
Yes, and that goes to my exact point. Put Connor with Hyman and Nugent Hopkins, put Draisaitl with his line, and roll 3 lines, or throw your fourth every once in a while. The reason that that those guys played so much is they had them all together. Put them on separate lines. Get Hyman back with just Connor, and get Leon running his own line. And if it goes that way, then they don't play 27 minutes because now they're coming on in separate shifts. The Penguins, all they did was hold their breath for a minute every 4 minutes or every 3 minutes. And then the other 2 lines would come out, and that was it.
Every other minute,
to me, I agree what you're saying.
They held their breath every other minute.
I agree.
So that's the problem.
Right. I agree with you on that point. I agree.
Just
because
it's 5-1 halfway through the game.
Because I agree, but here's why those Struds. They're not getting enough offense. They're just not. Connor McDavid had 5-on-5 points in 3 straight games because they don't have the line mates playing with them. Yeah, I know that, but you're still arguing my side of it.
They're down.
I know, but you're arguing my side of it.
I know, but they're down. They were down 5-1. If they could have defended a little bit better and be a little bit sharper, it's 1-1 and they probably win this game. Like listen, if you want to put the lines that's together, no problem, that's fine. But I would have gone the other way. Halfway through the game, it's down 5-1. I would have put Leon and Connor and Hyman at the other bench. Said, guys, loosen your skates. You're not getting out here again. I'm playing Corey Perry 20 minutes tonight.
Grow up. Grow up.
That's
you're
what I'm
not doing that. No way.
Guys,
no way.
I'm the coach of this team. I can do whatever we want. And we're flying to Chicago tonight, by the way, too. I would just empty them and say that we're done. It makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. It's like the guy who goes out for beers till 2 a.m, comes home and has to have some more beers. Why? You've already lost. You're already drunk. Just go to bed. We don't need to have any more beers tonight.
Now, normally I would come over the top here, Brownie. Normally I would come over the top here. Throwing out a grow up on the pod, that's a significant red flag. But hang on a second, though. There is an extenuating circumstance. Given you are 7 to 12 years our senior, I am going to allow it on the show for now. When you have a senior citizen on the show with you, they're going to go old man on you every now and then. So we're going to let that one slide,
all right.
Brownie.
Oh, well, you guys know that when you guys want stuff like at home hard or anything, you come with me. I get a discount. So that's why you guys keep me around.
Tuesday night at
I
or
love
Tuesdays on Safeway. First Tuesday of every month, Brownie gets 10% off.
Okay, Brownie, one of the any other
Yeah.
major takeaways from that game from you, Brownie? Because we're going to move on to a different topic here. We're going to talk a little Evan Bouchard, but anything else that you were passionate about you wanted to hit on?
No, actually, I'll go over those in Brownie points because there were a few things that out of tonight's game that I think jumped into Brownie's points.
Okay, perfect. I love it. And I think we're dealing with maybe just a little bit of a delay on Brownie's audio. So we're stepping on each other a little bit here. We'll do our best not to do that. So one of the things I thought we should check in on here, guys, was kind of our Evan Bouchard watch. Maybe just a thought, Struds, on how his season is going overall, expectation versus where his game is at right now. And then the bigger picture conversation here is about that contract, right? He's got that extension coming up and heading into this season. I mean, I firmly believed that, 10 million plus was the range. But I wonder how it looks now, with where his game is at. So let's start in that spot, Struds. Where's his game at versus expectations, do you think?
His playoffs last year was incredible. And that might be the greatest hockey he ever plays. He was so good. He was so good. And I hope it isn't. I hope he's got another level, but that level was pretty damn high. Even historically, that was a high level of play he had there. So, I think we all expected or hoped that he'd hold that ground and keep it up there. I think that the highs are still pretty high, but there have been some lows, right? That floor, the floor that we've talked about. He has to raise that floor up with some of the miscues that he makes that, other top end defensemen don't seem to make as often. Now, I don't watch every defenseman in the league every night that's a top end, but not quite as many. So I do believe that when this year will soften his next contract for the Edmonton Oilers, unfortunately, for Evan Bouchard, Brownie.
I agree, and it's funny. His playoff last year, you take away McDavid, you throw him out. Evan Bouchard had a playoff that could have won him a Conn Smythe. That's how good his playoff was when you look at his stats. So, and the problem is when you set your bar and show people what you're capable of doing, they expect that every night, and he hasn't lived up to that. I think the pressures of Team Canada, I think the pressures of the contract, I think the pressures of the expectation of what you should be have affected his game a bit. And I like how you said his floor. He's got a high and he's got a low, and he hits the low too often. And superstars can have off nights, but they're off when Connor McDavid has an off night, still really good. When Leon has an off night, now he's not Connor, he's not Leon, but when you want $9.5-10 million a year, you can't have the play up the middle turnover. You can't have getting walked one-on-one. Those plays can't be part of your repertoire, part of your game, and they have been too often this year. And then you throw in the fact, how many goals he got in his last 20 games? One? I mean, this is a guy that I thought could score 25 goals this year, and he's on pace for 10? So his greatest attribute is his offensive ability. It hasn't reached anywhere close to what he's capable of, and his defensive liability has shown its ugly face a few times. So, yes, I do believe, unless his second half resembles last year's second half, I do believe he's left money on the table in a new contract.
Yeah, for sure. So, doesn't have a power play goal yet. There you see it from Ronnie Oceanfront. We talk about how Bouch doesn't have a power play goal this year. Bad luck. Or what has changed. He's got 7. The flip side of that is the guy's got 7 even strength goals, which you like from a defenseman, and he's still letting it rip from the point, and he has found the net with a few of those. So it's not like it hasn't gone in at all. But 18 goals was where he was at last season, but 82 points overall. He's on pace for just over 60 with the way the season is going right now. But no power play goal, Struds. Like, that's the one for me that's like, he is out there every power play, all power play, and you'd think you would have been able to have found it by now.
Yeah, teams have definitely kind of taken him away or trying to take him away. They seem to be trying to take his shot away, and then Draisaitl's. Like you see today, Pettersson really had his stick when Connor was kind of going down the opposite side as Draisaitl, trying to have that stick in the way. And then they seem to be fronting Bouchard more often to try to make him either hit like block the shot, or drive it by him and have to miss a net. So it's a challenge there. And, Glenn Gullickson and company have to kind of figure that out. How do you free him up a little bit more? But he does have a wicked shot, and he's going to he'll get 13 to 15 goals, I bet. Still got half a season. And he can hit that. I mean, for the Oilers to win, in the playoffs, he's got to be up at that level, because Darnell's raised his game, Kulak's raised his game, anticipation of another D-man who will raise that game. Like, that D is pretty strong when you look at all those factors.
Brownie, anything else?
Well, I think it is shocking Bouchard's lack of power play goals, because I do believe the Oilers, Leon and Connor, have put plays in to get him the puck more often. He had 11 shots on net tonight. They were looking for him on the power play. They have a couple set plays off faceoffs where they've got him on the offside and they look for him for a one-timer off the faceoff. It is baffling, a guy that shoots that heavy and rarely hits guys in front of the net. The puck hasn't found the back net, and maybe it will. But he needs that, and I think he needs that confidence-wise. When you're an offensive player and you've got some defensive bubbles in it, some defensive deficiencies, when your offense isn't going, it affects the defense part of it too, because now you start pressing, and that's something you don't want to see. You see Bouch do here over the second half of the season, try pushing for more offense, and then that all of a sudden hurts the defensive side of his game.
See, what I don't want this to morph into in any way, shape, or form, and there's a little bit of it leaking into the stream, because Evan Bouchard's defensive play this season has been very up and down as well. He's gotten back to being a little lackadaisical in his own end, right? I think today was a day where he just, for a great scoring chance, just had it pass through his feet, was just staring at the puck with his man behind him, and it just gets passed through his feet for a great scoring chance. Like, we're seeing more of that than I think we did towards the back half of last season and certainly in the playoffs. I'm not going to entertain any discussion about trading this player. I think this is an excellent defenseman. I think, his best days are still ahead of him. And he, as much as his game might be up and down this season, what he did in the playoffs, Struds, you talk about the offensive production in the playoffs, his overall game in the playoffs, the quality of his defending. He was out there defending leads with 30 seconds left. I mean, he was out there in defense. The defensive nature of his game in the playoffs was the best we've ever seen from Evan Bouchard in the biggest moments. So, it's just the undulations of his game through a regular season here, Struds. This guy shows up when it matters.
Yeah, in a nutshell, that he competed so hard in his own end. And that's a real cliche, right? I just threw a big one out to everyone. You're welcome. But, basically he was heavy on the stick. He was so hard in his own zone to play against. And so that is of all the things that he has, that's the easiest thing to add to his game, right? And we've seen him do it. Like the skill, the shot, the passing, the skating, all that stuff. You just don't get that, without a lot of work over a lot of years. But the defensive determination, he can add that. So I fully expect him to do it again. As we get closer to playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. Brownie, any last points on Bouch? You good there, buddy?
No, I'm all good. I thought Struds explained it very well.
All right, good stuff. All right, before we go to break, Zuby, hop on in here, buddy. Let's get to our YouTube poll, because there was some chatter today on Insider Trading from Pierre Lebrun about what the Oilers might be looking for in terms of defensemen, what type of defenseman. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that coming up in our Take a Lap segment, what Pierre was talking about, and we'll have the broader discussion. But we wanted to give you a chance to hop in here on the YouTube stream and get your votes. And our poll is brought to you by DeBoer's Golf Shop and Fitting Center, helping you play better golf since 1999 with their TrackMan fitting bays, instruction, after-sales support, merchandise, and clothing. Go down and check out their pro shop style atmosphere. 5311 99th Street in Edmonton is the address. Highly recommend you go see Scott, DJ, and Al and the crew at DeBoer. Zuby, what do you got, buddy?
All right, so the question is, what's your preference for the Oilers to acquire at the deadline this year? And I'm sure we're saying third pairing D with a forward, just assuming that third pairing D is going to cost less to fit in the cap. versus a second pairing D. So these are the four choices.
If you go get a second pairing defenseman, you might not have much room to add up front as well. So that's why I shaped these the way we did, Zuby.
Yeah. Okay. So the options are third pairing right D and a forward, third pairing left D and a forward, second pairing right D, or second pairing left D. Those are the four choices here on the poll.
All right. And that coming from Pierre Lebrun's reporting today, excuse me, that Stan Bowman is casting a wide net, as Pierre described it in their search. Not specific in looking for any one particular thing at this point, but they're going to look at all options out there. So I wanted to see what folks on the stream had to say. That was Takeaways, brought to you by Horizon Ag and Turf. When we come back, we've got Struddy's World. We've got Brownie Points. We got Ask Us Anything. We got our core blue liners. Take a lap. We're going to take a trip. There's tons left ahead on the show, so stay with us.
Ready to go all in this season? Mr. Dirk's got you covered with express on-site tailoring, a wide selection of craftsman-made suits, sport coats, and casual staples for every occasion. Score big with Mr. Dirk. We've always got your back. Visit us off White Ave, south of 102nd Street, or browse online at mrdirk.com.
Specializing in heavy-duty commercial truck powertrain repair, performance, tuning, and part sales, Adrenaline Diesel's professional team is ready to assist you with all of your needs, from the simplest oil changes to engine conversions, overhauls, and engine modifications. Featuring an all-new online parts store and machine shop to manufacture, replicate, or repair parts, visit adrenalinediesel.ca.
When you make a mistake, heads should roll. It's not right. And I'm here. Someone has to put their foot down. Now that I say it out loud, it does sound a little crazy.
God, I look good.
All right, time now for Struddy's World, brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products with locations in Calgary and Edmonton. If you're a contracting business or a contractor, let DLR help you add vinyl fence to your product line. Reliable, unmatched service with high-quality North American-made products. Visit DLRvinylproducts.ca. Brownie, are you noticing how much better Struddy sounds tonight? He's got that microphone figured out, hey?
Well, it only took 3 engineers, his two of his kids and his wife to figure it out for him. But yes, you do sound really good tonight, Strud.
Thank you.
Rumor has it was a volume button. It was a volume button that he didn't know existed.
I don't know where that rumor is coming from.
You got to be kidding me.
I wouldn't agree with that at all. I wouldn't say that at all. But thank you, Brownie. If you think I sound good, you should see how I look tonight. Let's get on with the show, guys. So, you're always looking for things that the teams do. I'm always trying to watch it. And I've seen something from the Oilers that I wasn't sure, and I've tried to catch it and rewind it. I finally saw it again today for sure. So a controlled breakout play that they have is kind of surprised me. I haven't seen one like this before. So a controlled breakout is when the puck ends up behind your net and both teams decide to change, and the D-man just stands there, and he's just waiting for everyone to come back. So what the Oilers do, or generally speaking, what they do is that you kind of bring, the one D-man goes into the corner, the centerman or forward, wherever, swings in from that corner to the other corner so the D-man can jump out behind the net and pass to either the forward or D. Then you go up and try to make a play. Well, what the Oilers do, and I'll be interested to see if you guys have seen this, is that as soon as the D-man stops behind the net on the Oilers' controlled breakout, the other D-man goes flying up the ice, somewhere between the blue line and the red line. And the guy steps out and he hits that, or tries to hit that D-man, and then he pops it off to either the center who's gone flying behind the net or to the winger on the other side. But I can tell you, as a D-man, the thought of skating away from my end that fast, obviously I'd be going really fast, but to skate out of there and have my other partner just pass it up to me in that spot, I'd be like, there's no way. I'd be like, as soon as he sets up behind him, like, skate, we're not setting it up. Just skate your ass off. We don't want to set this up. But I haven't seen this before, guys. I'm not sure if you've seen it. I'm sure it is other places. But man, as a D-man, I'd be scared shitless to speak, French language.
I want to do this in a beer league game with you just to see you do it, Strud. Oh my God, that'd be funny. But
Me and Sweetie be great
but
at
you
it.
know, but,
It's a sweetie.
yeah, you know
I
what?
go stand
You know
beside
why they
Sweetie.
do
He's
it?
up there.
The reason they do it though is numbers. Because you explained it well, the start of it. It's a D-man in one quarter, and then the center either comes behind the net or swings in the other corner. You come up with speed. You go left, you go right. But then the defenders, they swing whichever way you go. They swing to your side. They kind of push over, and they get their forecheck going. When you send when you send the D-man way up, just over the red line or by the blue line, you now have numbers. You've got 4 guys in an offensive play, and you pass the puck past 2 of the forecheckers. When the D-man say it's Kulak is up there, you hit him, and he bounces it back to the center coming with speed. He's flying, and those defensemen that are defending are now standing still. You've got 2 wingers going with you as well, and you've got an on-man break. And it started behind your net, and within 3 seconds, you're on an odd man break going the other way. So it is a great play to do it. You must have smart defensemen. You have to have skilled defensemen because 2 things have to happen. You've got to have a defenseman behind the net that can make an 80-foot pass, stick to stick, because a bad pass and all of a sudden you're in trouble because you got odd man break coming the other way. And you got to have a defenseman that can take a pass and move it. So it is a skilled play that Paul Coffey trusts his defensemen to being skilled enough and smart enough to do it. And we've seen the Oilers catch the opposition in a lot of odd man quick breaks out of a standing still breakout from behind their own net. It's a really smart play.
I have a question about a controlled breakout that we see now and then, Struds, where usually it'll be McDavid or Draisaitl. And it happened once tonight where the center will swing and all of a sudden you'll see Leon just take off. He just bolts up ice as fast as he can go. And you kind of get like he's looking for it. He wants it. I wonder, as the defenseman, when you have someone like Leon Draisaitl who, well, let's just say he commands the puck at times, do you feel pressure that when he does that, you got to try and find a way to get it through to him? Because sometimes maybe we see younger defensemen try and force it. Is Leon expecting it? Is he just trying to drive the opposition back a little bit? Because I see him take off, and I'm always like, oh, are they going to find him? Mm-hmm. And then sometimes when they don't, he gives it the old head up in the air kind of thing.
The only thing I like better than easy points are free Slurpees. And that's true. Like, I love free Slurpees. So when a great player is on the ice with you, I want to give him the puck too. I want an easy assist, a 5-foot pass that turns into assist. I love it. The problem is that these elite players don't understand is that, yeah, they want it, but you know what? The other team is looking for me to give you the puck. They know they want to. I want to give it to you. You want it. Everyone in the building wants me to give you the puck. So I remember having a conversation with Jagger one time. He had a meeting with the D. He felt we weren't giving the puck enough. I'm like, buddy, we want to give you the puck. Trust me. We all want points. We want you to have the puck. But sometimes the other team figures that out as well. So, yeah, when you see him, and you can see it, he starts building up speed. He wants it. But the other team generally tries to take him away. So it's not open every single time. But it does mean someone else might be opened up.
Brownie
speechless.
But on those ones too. So Connor or Leon, when they fly up with speed, they're expecting the puck, but they're seeing plays that other players can't make. So Leon will make that turn. He's flying. He's like, "Give me the puck," and there's like 8 sticks between you and him, and Leon can make the pass. He's 100% sure I can make that pass, but Ty Emberson can't. And now he's mad at Ty, and Ty's like, if I try it and it doesn't work out, it's in the back of my net. Nobody's yelling at Leon. They're yelling at me. So I think sometimes skilled players, they expect more out of their teammates than their teammates are capable of doing. And that's why you'll see the look of disgust. I was open. You were open, but I'm incapable of making that play.
Well said. Well said.
All right, that was Struddy's World, brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. All right, Zuby, roll the happy music, and we will bounce right along into our brownie points, brought to you by Hamel's Premium Jerky. If you need a unique idea for your team or school's next fundraiser, Hamel's can help you help your organization raise money by customizing a variety of options of their world famous jerky. They got over 13 flavors in an all new jerky pepperoni bundle. And for the month of January, free shipping Alberta wide on all orders over $55. So for more details, visit albertajerky.com. Brownie, hand out some points, bud.
We're handing them out tonight. We're going away from the Oilers. It was a tough night for them, and I don't want to take anything away. So we're only giving out brownie points. And tonight I'm going to start with 37 brownie points to Sid, not the kid anymore, Crosby. He's 37 years old. He was the best player on the ice for the Pittsburgh Penguins. He has a goal. He has 2 assists. I'm not excited about the Four Nations tournament, but I am excited to see Sidney Crosby playing meaningful games again, playing with the best in the world, because we saw what he did tonight on his team. His team's not very good, but Sidney Crosby still is at the age of 37. You're not supposed to be still this good. Sid, the not kid anymore, still is. I got 40 brownie points for Alex Nedeljkovic. The Pittsburgh Penguins won because their goalie was all world. The save that he made on Bouchard, where it was like a road hockey save, where the glove went up, it was the big sweeping motion. And then the back-to-back saves on Leon Draisaitl, where Draisaitl put his stick on his head and looked up in the air. He could not believe. He got 2 grade A scoring chances, one after another. Nedeljkovic was outstanding in this hockey game. I got 28 brownie points to Marcus Peterson. He's a player whose name has been talked about a lot, being traded at the deadline. And you have a poll going tonight, what kind of defenseman or what should the Oilers be looking for? Marcus Peterson was excellent in this hockey game. He played over 24 minutes. He had 2 assists. He was +3. He went head-to-head against Connor and Leon most of the night. If you want to upgrade your defense, Marcus Peterson would be an upgrade for just about any team in the National Hockey League. Look at him being moved if the Penguins fall out of it, and that's something that the Edmonton Oilers would be very interested in. I've got 48 brownie points for Zach Werenski of the Columbus Blue Jackets. Nobody's talking about him. He is tied with Cale Makar for most goals by a defenseman in the NHL at 13. He's 1 point behind Cale Makar with 48 points on the season. He's 11th in the National Hockey League going into the game tonight in points. Zach Werenski. No one knows much about this kid, but he is having a Norris Trophy winning type of season. And my final one, I don't even know if we've even talked about this on the show, but I got 86 brownie points for AK Bar's Nikita Dinyak. He is the player in the KHL who was skating through the neutral zone, and his telephone fell out of his equipment. And then the referee found it, went to the bench, and was kind of going along the bench. Whose telephone is this? And sheepishly, he put his hand up, took the phone, went back into the dressing room. He claimed the phone fell out of his stall and into his jersey and fell out during the game. We know exactly what happened. He had it in his pants. He was checking scores or texting his girlfriend, and he didn't get it stuck into his underwear good enough when he went out on that shift. But seriously, I played with a guy, Wendell Young, who when we played in Quebec, they have Shen Shows, the hot dogs, and they're the best hot dogs in the world. He had them in his goalie pads when he was the backup goalie. And one time he actually had to go in and he had to hide the hot dog because it was on the bench. He had to hide it. I thought that was the funniest thing I ever heard. But a guy having his cell phone while he's playing a professional hockey league game, that to me is that's my favorite. So he gets 86 brownie points for that.
Love it. Those are brownie points brought to you by Hamel's Premium Jerky. Yeah, Werenski definitely having a whale of a season, Struds. Like, he's got to be right up there and among the top candidate or two for the Norris Trophy at this point in time. And, considering where he's playing, like, good on him for having that kind of year. They need performances like that guy's giving them.
Yeah, and the captain of that team chose to stay when a lot of people were leaving. Remember a few years ago, and he really controls play. Like, I've watched him play, non-Oilers, and he just controls the play so well. So, yeah, he'll be, I'm sure, in that conversation for the Norris Trophy.
All right, good stuff, Brownie. We're gonna let you fly, buddy. Thanks for joining us. We'll chat maybe Saturday after the game.
All right, Happy New Year's, guys.
I reject it.
See you.
Reject it.
You too.
Send him a text, Zuby. Tell him I reject it.
On it.
He missed that. He'd already hung up. he didn't get your rejection, Struds. Zuby, why am I seeing so much action on the stream about you needing a bathroom break? What have you gotten into here?
I just started that. I just was some of my thoughts spilled out into the stream, pun intended. That I have to use the restroom, and I said, "Do you guys think I can do it in the next commercial break, which is 1 minute long?" We're starting a side poll of whether or not people think I can get it done in the next
break.
commercial break. Yeah.
Okay, well, why don't we do this? Let's take a trip, and as soon as our intro to that is done, you go ahead and head to the washroom while Struds and I do the segment, and you should have time to get there and back before we wrap the segment.
Oh yeah, that's plenty.
You just got to let
That'll
us
be
know
plenty.
when you're back, okay? And we're going to time you.
Okay.
So the minute the animation is done, you can take off to the bathroom, and I'm going to time you.
I get
So
my
you let me
union
know,
scheduled.
let me know when you're going.
I get my union scheduled pee break.
Yeah. People are talking about me being worse than Amazon, not letting my people take breaks and stuff.
I never
like the way this
stated
is going,
that I just I put it on myself. I said I have a great bladder, but tonight it was poor planning. I didn't have a pregame.
Well, we'll get you a break in just a second here. So the trade deadline is coming up, and as we know, those trade bait boards are all over the place, and there are a lot of players who might be faced with the prospect of taking a trip. So let's dive into that. Time now for Taking a Trip, brought to you by Alberta Blue Cross. If you are planning a trip, whether it's a dream vacation or quick winter escape for a trip to watch your team play, don't forget travel insurance. Alberta Blue Cross has your back with emergency medical, cancellations covered, lost baggage, and more. Flexibility, reliability, even lounge access or a hotel if the delay is too much. Visit ab.bluecross.ca/travel to learn more. Zuby, off you go. Struds,
BRB.
we head to Long Island tonight.
We do. Brock Nelson. The Islanders really aren't going anywhere, and someone has to admit that they're not as good as people think they are in Long Island. But Brock Nelson is a longtime veteran. He's expiring contract, $6 million. UFA, he's a center. This guy'd be a welcome addition to any playoff-bound team. He's big. He skates. He's scored a lot of goals, even recently. Not having the best offensive game this year, as far as scoring. I think he has, just barely double digits. But what I like about this player is that he plays center. He's on their power play. He can kill penalties. So he's going to come in and you just place him where you need him. Where do you want him to play? And I think that's really valuable, and the size as well. Now, he's going to be traded. I believe he's going to be traded. He's from Minnesota. There's some talk that maybe Minnesota would be interested in him because of the relationship with he and Bill Guerin and the Four Nations Cup. But this is a player that we don't hear a lot about because he's on the Islanders and no one really cares about the Islanders. But he is a guy that I think will be very sought after when that time comes.
Yeah, I think he's a really well-respected player. Not the highest profile, but has been a good player for a long time here. He's in year 6 of a deal.
Crazy.
6 times 6. Yeah, like 6 times 6. He does have a 16-team no trade that he can sort of call his shot to a degree, but 3 straight 30-plus goal seasons. But a good honest game, Struds, that I think you would really like in a playoff series.
Yeah, and just the option of, what do you need? What do you want from me? Just tell me. I can play wherever you want me to. As far as, in the line, I think you trade for him to be a center. I don't mean he's going to be a winger, but I just like the fact that he can help you out in different ways. And that's, so you're kind of getting like 3 for 1, a guy that can help you on the power play, help you on the penalty kill, and play 5-on-5 minutes. Those are valuable things, and a big body, which you know how I value that.
I wonder what his expectation level would be on his next deal. Maybe the fact, like, you don't love the pure rentals necessarily, so maybe you're trading for him with the idea in mind that there could be a deal to be had after the fact. Like, he would be a player that I think you'd want to add and keep if you could, because I do think the acquisition cost will be reasonably high. Like, he scored a lot of goals. So is there a way to get him and sign him, and a little bit older, so you wouldn't, don't necessarily want it to be too long term? But he'd be just a good solid player to add to your organization beyond just one playoff run.
Yeah. He becomes your third line center, right? Maybe that's a guy that could do that. Now, I don't like it when guys get traded and sign somewhere right away, like before the playoff run. Like, I think he's never played for anyone else except the Islanders. So I think there needs some time for it to breathe for him. But I understand what you're saying. But yeah, I think you're right. I think the acquisition costs will be high. Will he not be the highest sought after center, out there or one of them? One of them?
Be one of them for sure. Yeah, he'll be one of them. I mean, he's at the top of a few different people's boards. So, yeah, makes some sense. So, we will see if Brock Nelson ends up taking a trip, courtesy our friends at Alberta Blue Cross. Subi, are you back yet? You make it back?
Oh, yeah. I made a quick, I didn't want to interrupt, so I just popped in and gave a thumbs up.
All right. Feeling better, buddy? All good?
Oh, yeah. It would have been a tough last segment here, I think, if I hadn't taken care of that.
You know what? Actually, I don't want to take the last break yet because there's going to be there's some more other content here. So I want to get to our take a lap segment right now, if we can, Zuby. Brought to you by Acon. They've got 150 years in the construction industry. They're one of Canada's original leaders in heavy industrial contracting, operating across North America and proudly here in Edmonton. If you are looking for work, this is the important thing, acon.com, and click join our team. So if you or anyone you know is looking for work, go to acon.com and click join our team. This is part of what our YouTube poll was about on the show tonight. Pierre LeBrun on Insider Trading, the Oilers were the lead item. Basically just clarifying, Struds, that it's not that they've got this very specific target that they're after. They're casting a really wide net in terms of the type, the level of defenseman that they might be looking for. First of all, what do you think of the idea that they're not necessarily dialed in on anything too specific yet? Does that make sense to you?
I think it does, because it could be fluid. What is going to be available? What's the acquisition cost of that? Is it a guy with term? Is it not with term? How's the rest of the team doing? We're still, some time away from that moment. So I wasn't surprised to hear it, but I was happy to hear that they're going to just look at everything, because he mentioned, do they want a guy like Savard who's a battleship on skates, or do they want more of a puck mover type of player, or something in between, right? So I think they're trying to figure it out, and I would be doing the same thing. Why rush it?
Mm-hmm. Lots of some varying opinions tonight on Marcus Pettersson, or Peterson, as Brownie said. He liked the player, thought that he looked solid tonight. A little bit of a word of caution from you in terms of foot speed and where he could fit in potentially there. I don't know if they'll have to choose between, how much does a second pairing defenseman cost you? Is there enough room left on the cap to go get a forward as well? Like if all they did fundamentally here was add Evander Kane back because of injury, and a defenseman who is like let's call him a 4-5 defenseman that could play in either pairing. Are you comfortable with where the team would be at that point, Struds, or do you think they need more up front too?
Yeah. Well, Kane's not going to cost him anything, and if he doesn't come back to the playoffs, then that's a massive, massive change in what they can do. The 4 or 5, I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm probably looking at a center, a fourth line center that can come in and support that group, add more depth to it, maybe a little more speed.
Yeah. Okay. Another, what's our second lap that we're taking today?
Yeah.
Friends?
About Team Canada. So Darren Drager reporting today.
Yes.
We're really working over these insiders today. It's like how, quite frankly, it's like how Knobloch used his top 5 players today, just working these guys overtime. There's a report out there. He's suggesting there's some thought that Hockey Canada is going to hire a general manager to help run a permanent one.
Yeah, so the postmortem is kind of underway, right? And part of Dreg's reporting was they're looking at a bunch of different options, but maybe a full-time sort of general manager for the World Junior team, or maybe oversees one or two of those teams. It's kind of, there's a few people in position, right? Scott Salmon is there, and then they'll bring in guys, they'll platoon in different guys to come for different events here and there. But maybe the idea being, Struds, that it's just more one specific person to take on that task. What do you think about that core idea? One specific person to oversee it more on a full-time basis.
Yeah. So what's the goal? Are they going to have full-time scouting and a full-time plan? Like, are they not happy with what the scouting they did, or they're not happy with the way that they executed the plan? Like, I'd have to understand clear what this guy's or person's position would be, because to me, it looks like they maybe took the wrong group of players, or maybe they brought the wrong coach. I'm not there. So, but these are things you have to explore and figure out who made those decisions and why. And how do we arrive at the decisions? And would someone else in that position make the same choices, or need someone to maybe step back and not be quite so up against it, and to offer ideas to bounce against? So that's a really bad answer, long-winded, but I just don't know what like, how would it be different with a general manager as opposed to a week or a guy every time, or a girl, whatever.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I don't want to see. I don't want to see apologies. Like I didn't like the way that whole thing played out. So they basically, and I was on the road after Canada lost, and so I wasn't on the show the subsequent day. But I was thinking to myself as I was watching Scott Salmon, and I know Scott, I've known him for a couple of decades, as he rolls out there on the second day and he's talking, I apologize, and we apologize. And I'm thinking, like, they don't have anything to apologize for. I didn't like the apology threads. I don't think they needed to apologize. I don't think it was necessary. And I don't think anybody who expects an apology from them, I think it's kind of ridiculous. Like, own your mistakes, right? We got to look internally. Obviously, stuff wasn't good enough. They did a better job on day 2 of owning some of those mistakes than they did on day 1, which was a bit of a disaster. Own your mistakes. Say you're going to be better. Say you're going to look into it. At most, you say, we feel bad for our fans that wanted to see us go deeper. Maybe a light apology there, whatever. We apologize to fans that we couldn't be more competitive, whatever. But I don't like, everybody went to work. Everybody tried hard. It was a train wreck. Lots of stuff went wrong, but it was almost like they just felt like they owed the nation an apology. No, you don't owe an apology. Save that. Save your apologies for if you think your players did not show up and represent their country well, or if you think somebody in your organization was disrespectful and didn't represent their country. Save your apologies for those sorts of things. Save the apologies for the stuff that's like where it's really needed. I didn't like the apologies that came out of Hockey Canada after, because I didn't think they were necessary.
Yeah, interesting angle. And I could probably get behind that. I agree with you. I think that the apology shouldn't be so much that we lost. It's like, we're going to review our approach and see what happened.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe that's not even an apology. Then we're just, we're going to review everything that went into this. Because if you look at, like, even Dave Cameron, I believe he'd coached the team before. It felt just kind of like, we're going to go with the safe choice. There's other young coaches out there that maybe would have had a different view with what a team should look like and how they should operate. So I think that is, and so when I look at this GM and kind of get into your apology, let's look more at what we did rather than what happened and apologizing for what happened.
Yeah.
How do we arrive?
Unless you think people wasted their money because your team didn't work hard, unless you're literally going to say that we embarrassed ourselves and we apologize for that because people spent their heart, but they didn't. They worked hard. They were in games. The results weren't what they wanted, but everybody did their best to do their jobs. It was a disaster. I just don't think at that point you need to be apologizing to a nation as Hockey Canada. Just, hey, own your mistakes and make the adjustments that are needed. Okay, that was Taking a Lap, brought to you by Acon. Zuby, if you need a follow-up run to the bathroom, now would be the time to do it. Quick break. When we come back, we'll take a look at our core Blue Liners segment, as well as Ask Us Anything. Plenty still ahead.
At Gallery Dental, we believe in blending exceptional care with artistry to create the perfect smile for you. From routine cleanings to advanced cosmetic procedures, our team is dedicated to providing top-notch care in a relaxed and comfortable environment. With state-of-the-art technology and a passion for perfection, we ensure that every visit is a positive experience. Join the Gallery Dental family and let us help you achieve a smile that you'll love to show off. Contact us today at secolandentistry.com.
So at Timberhouse, our guiding philosophy is naturally inspired living. We believe that through design, we can solve problems and enhance people's lives. We follow biophilic design principles in all of our builds to incorporate natural materials, natural light, to enhance all the spaces in a home. When you have your space perfectly reflect who you are and what you value, and it's made well, we think that that just leads to better living.
Ronnie Oceanfront says, Shogger, do you apologize to your garage wall when you shank one past the sim screen? No, I don't, Ronnie. I identify mistake, I figure out what I did wrong, and I vow to be better moving forward. No apology needed in that situation. Time now for our core blue liners, brought to you by HSE Core Services. If you're a small to medium-sized business, HSE Core has your back when it comes to health and safety compliance. From creating and managing a tailored health and safety program that meets all legislation and core requirements, HSE Core supports client operations every step of the way. Check them out online, www.hsecor.com. All right, Struds, who do we have in the spotlight tonight, buddy?
Yeah, last time we did Marcus Patterson. Tonight we're going to do Chris Letang. And I mean, this guy has had a monster of an NHL career. Absolute monster. Been one of the core members of that Pittsburgh Penguin dynasty of great play with him and Sid and Malkin. So, I mean, I don't have to talk about what he's done and how he looks. But two things I love about Letang. One, when he gets a puck on his stick, looks like he's always under control and makes a play with the puck. And that's what good players want. They want someone, a D-man, that makes plays with the puck. And he does that as well as anyone and has for years. The second thing I think that isn't maybe as well known about him, I feel he has a really heavy stick and he competes hard and wins a lot of puck battles. We saw that tonight. Heavy stick, and he's fighting for, there was one where he and Leon are battling over, and you know, Leon's a big man. And Letang was able to hold that stick down, get that puck and take it off him, then go make a play. So, you know, ironically, he kind of dovetails with Bouchard, because I think that's something that he could really work on and copy from Letang, because that's a skill. That's a skill of will, not just a skill like shooting or passing. So that's something to use off of him. But Letang has been a great player for a long time. And just a final note, because I just hated this trade. Why did they trade for Erik Karlsson? Why? Oh, why? Yeah. That's one of the dumbest trades I've ever seen. Not a reflection on it, Karlsson, just not filling a need they needed. They had their power play guy. His name was Letang. They'd done it for 1,000 years together. Stupid, dumb trade by that organization. I'll hang up.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, no, please stay on the line. I love all the points you made about Chris Letang. The other thing about Letang is, and I've covered this Penguins team, you know, when they were in their prime. I was at their Stanley Cup finals, covered their cups. Like Chris Letang has a presence with this group, and off the ice, he is, I'm trying to think of who would be a good example to use, like just in terms of the way he's respected and revered. And on a team with Sidney Crosby, you know, and everybody knows what Sid means to the group. I would say Letang is almost Patrice Bergeron like in his presence with that team behind the scenes. He's beloved and has been a really important part of that organization. And it's been interesting to see them keep these three together, Struds, and the sacrifice that they've made to keep these three together, maybe the sacrifices they've made to all stay together. And here they are now deep into their 30s, grinding it out, still trying to make this work. But Letang has been a really important person in the organization. It's not like Sid is a huge presence there, but Letang really has been an operator behind the scenes as well.
That's great to hear. That just tops it off. Like he's a really good player and has been a long time now. Their window is closing on their careers. And I actually respect the fact they've kept them together. I think that is going to hurt them, and there'll be many years of rough hockey coming up for Penguins fans. But you know what? It's worth it, because these guys deserve, and I believe are entitled to, the choice to stay in one city. If they choose to stay there, they can choose to do that.
Yeah, and as for the trade, by the way, like, I think we might have talked about this on the show before. Like, it's not the first time Kyle Dubas did that. That is the second time that Kyle Dubas went out and paid a reasonably hefty price to add something to his team that he did not need. It's also the second time that he did it for the same type of player. If you recall, I believe he was right in there. Can't remember if he was running the show or if he was the number two, but they added Tyson Barrie to a team that already had Morgan Riley running a power play.
Right.
And it never worked. Not for 1 second did it work. And when I saw him make this Karlsson trade, I just thought, like, what the heck? Like, he had a front row seat to watch that happen. They did not need that player in Toronto, and they went and got him.
The player, the person sitting in the last row at any arena seeing Carlson and Burns together would have recognized that two right shot defensemen that want to run the power play, you don't need it. But he knew better, and he made that trade. And listen, the team was going like they're not going to get better. I believe they're going to get worse. But that sure didn't help in that moment.
All right, that was our Core Blue Liners, brought to you by HSE Core Services. Time for Ask Us Anything, Zuby. Am I still on track here? Did I miss anything?
Scoreboard?
Yeah, well, there's some later games, so maybe
we'll do it
before
last.
our play of the day. Yeah, we'll do it second last before our play of the day. So for now, let's hop on in here, buddy. We've had a nice active stream. We really appreciate everybody that has jumped in. Zuby's had a nice active stream tonight as well. Time for Ask Us Anything, brought to you by BJ Electric Supplies, an Edmonton-based independent electric wholesaler offering a wide range of products from lighting and lighting controls, wiring accessories, control and hazardous products, serving electrical contractors working in Alberta's oil and gas, commercial, residential, and OEM sectors. They do it all. Check them out at bjelectric.ca. All right, Zoobs, hop on in, buddy, and let us know what the people are talking about. A few different conversations, as always, going on. Everything seems cordial on YouTube chat tonight.
I had Miss Maria in my rundown, but do you want me to?
You had Maria in the rundown. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. You know what? We'll throw up Maria's logo. Sorry, I must have had a little mix up there on my script, but no worries at all. So it's brought to you by Maria Gallus of Maximal Mortgages. She does a great job handling our mortgages for Randine and I, and highly recommend you give Maria a call if you have any mortgage needs whatsoever. You can throw BJ Electric up, and we'll squeeze Maria in a different day. Sorry about that.
Well, we got we're doing it all. We got it's all good. Okay. Some good conversation, some good questions here tonight. A little bit of perspective. Calvin Best says, after 40 games, Oilers are 6th place in the NHL. Good job getting back up into the top 10 after the rough start. A little bit of perspective. Hey, Struds, they've been on a good stretch.
They've been on a really good run. They've played really good hockey, and you're going to have nights like this. So I go back to my first thing. Just accept it. Just get through it. And then be better in Chicago when they have Saturday night, Bouchard versus McDavid. I think it's great.
Yep, for sure. Big picture, they've been one of the best teams in the league for the last run of games, couple of months after a tough start. So on nights like tonight, that is good perspective, I would say.
Okay, Floating Tea Leaf says he'd like to see Darnell Nurse put on the power play if Knobloch is rewarding guys. They need to give Nurse more ice time for the season he's putting together. And as we've talked about, Bouchard, not as effective goal scoring wise on the power play. What do you think of the idea of getting Darnell Nurse a little bit more time in there, Shogger?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Bouchard's power play production, right, doesn't have a goal yet. I think he's got maybe 8 assists on the power play. That power play has been so good for so long. They're hesitant to make any sorts of changes, knocking Bouch down a step like that. I'm not sure. It feels aggressive to me, Struds, for the way this power play has been structured all along. But I wouldn't mind seeing that second unit out there a little bit more. I thought for sure tonight they would have started the second unit on that one power play after McDavid's line had been out there for like 2 minutes.
Well, they couldn't. They're just put him out there. They had to get 3 more minutes out of those guys. They had to grind them right into the ground.
They did score, though, on that.
Put them right into the ground. No, I think that'd be interesting, but I don't see that happening. I think that Darnell plays a lot of 5-on-5 minutes. He also gets on the PK, and he does second unit power play. So I think that he's got enough minutes already, and they're trying to find a role for everyone. If Bouchard comes off the power play, goes on the second, his ice time drops down because he doesn't kill penalties.
Continuing on talking about Bouchard, CK Pond wondering, basically, are Bouchard's struggles this year, do you think any of that is connected to all the talk of the upcoming contract, the weight of this monster contract that could be coming and the pressure that goes along with it, Struds?
Yeah, I think it's human nature, right? We're not sure what's going to happen, and you hear a lot of things. Maybe the agent's spoken to him a bit. But, he's going to make a lot of money. He already has. He's going to make a lot more, whether it's 8, 9, 10, 7.5, 10.5. Like there's going to be a lot of money coming his way. And my advice to be his buddy, just enjoy these years right now because they are truly special. Like to be able to play on this team, the run they had last year, the group they still have together, enjoy this. The money will take care of itself.
Confluence of events all at once. You've got the contract year, you got coming off a great performance in a Stanley Cup final. You've got the Four Nations face-off, which, by the way, if you're a tweener for the Four Nations face-off and you could just find a way to play your way onto that roster, you've now given yourself a great opportunity to be an Olympian the following year. So all of these things all weighing down all at the same time with the contract, I definitely think that it had something to do with it for Bouch so far this year.
Okay, Oilers Diehard says, Kane is usually a really quick healer. I expected him back before the playoffs. There was some other chatter tonight about Evander Kane and when he's coming back. Do you think there's do you think there's a plan in mind, and is that plan malleable depending on other factors? When do you think Evander Kane is playing his first game for the Oilers this year, Shogger?
March. I think it'll probably be March. Like we've asked a few times, and there's just, unless I missed it on the road trip, if they asked while they were on this road trip, we just haven't, there haven't been any updates. We haven't really, I've seen him around the rink now and then for games. But it's not like we're getting word that he's off skating on his own or that he's close to skating with the team. So yeah, at this point, I would think that we're still away, but that's literally just me guessing those Struds. I'd say March.
Yeah. Just a guess. I mean, honestly though, like in this moment, I'm going to assume he hasn't skated. He's going to need quite a bit of time to get back up to speed, right? There's first learning to skate again, and not that he's a bad skater, but you know what I mean? And then pushing it, strengthening that area, then getting into shape. And I believe that takes quite some time. So your timeline is 6 weeks. I think that's probably pretty fair. And if you get into March, do you hold him off? I guess it depends what's out there, what you feel you need.
Is he not skating? Yeah, he's not skating with the team, but
yeah, we've been asking Chris sort of periodically, and we have not been told that he's been skating on his own. Have not heard that. Now it might just be that we haven't asked recently, but haven't been given that update yet. So unless I'm missing it.
And do you think the deadline's early March, right? Do you think they'd like to see him have a kind of a handle on that in advance of the deadline, or do you think they're okay just pushing ahead with whatever they got?
Yeah, I think they know what they've got when he comes back. So I don't know. If they believe there's a chance he won't play at all, then maybe you're a little more concerned. But I think there's a pretty strong confidence level that he'll be back at some point. So I'm not sure if that has to be by a certain point for them to be comfortable or feel like, oh, they need to go get a left winger or something like that.
Okay, here's an interesting one from Paulie. He says, we all know Bowman and Brass are looking to add at the deadline, but is there a scenario that an unexpected piece is moved out to acquire multiple players? If so, who would they be willing to let go? And I think there's lots of talk always about the Tyson Barrie going out for Ekholm, of course, a couple years back. What kind of a sneaky move do you think could be on deck in that realm, Struddy?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I'll go. I mean, they could try and knock it out of the park on the blue line. Like they could look for another Ekholm style deal where it's just they drop a top four blue liner in. Let's say they go find a number 3, and you're like, whoa.
But who goes out?
Wow,
who would be out?
Yeah, so you would need to find the money, right? So clearly it would be like Skinner probably would have to go, and then maybe I don't know, like just pick guys that cost some money here. So a couple of forwards you would have to trade out to drop in a defenseman of that caliber. The other team retains a bunch of salary. Like the Oilers are going to have some space here. So if they can do a deal that, a team will retain some salary, you never know, they might be able to. But if we're just like throwing darts at a board saying, what could we be surprised with? I think the thing that you need to surprise is a better defenseman than anybody would have expected, would be my thought, Struds.
Yeah, and that's 100%, because that would just solidify everything, tighten it up. Get a true partner for Darnell Nurse would be the dream. A puck mover and a guy that competes.
Okay, we can make this
Anderson.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Struddy's guy. This could be the last one. Jack says, I love Stu Skinner, but he just didn't have it today. Now, he wasn't bad, but maybe he could have found that one rebound. But I wonder what you guys thought about, we've been on the coach a little bit tonight, but what about him not using a timeout and not changing the goalie at any time? Would you have done either of those things, Struds?
Yeah, I think a timeout would have been a good thing, and even switching the goalie, and I don't know. I honestly thought after the first intermission we would see Pickard in there, because I didn't think Stu was great. I didn't think he was bad. I think he was like most of the team that didn't play much.
I think Knobloch believed his team was still in that game. He certainly coached that way. I don't know how you walk in there with the message that we're not out of this. Get your nose to the grindstone, and we're still in this. But you swap the goalie out at the same time, because it wasn't really his fault. I didn't view it as
Shakes
Skinner's
it up.
fault, right?
Shakes up the room, right?
Yeah,
You shake up the room.
I guess.
Because you feel bad.
he
Like
could've.
when a goalie gets pulled, you feel bad. You just feel like, oh my God, we let you down. I think that's what you do, shake him up a bit.
I didn't have an issue with the timeout because they were so close to a commercial break. It's got to be a little awkward, Struds, for the coach to call a timeout. And, not that Knobloch ever peels the paint, but timeout, everybody rallies, everybody hustles. Okay, yeah, we're ready to go. We're ready to go. You go out, offside, whistle, commercial, and you're all just standing back at the bench again. All the momentum from the timeout is gone.
That's fair. But it maybe he sensed it earlier. It's hard. We're not on the bench, right? What he's sensing or not sensing. But that fourth and fifth goal were just killers.
Yeah. All right. That was Ask Us Anything, brought to you by both Maria Mortgages by Maria and BJ Electric Supplies tonight. Zuby, let's wrap up the poll, buddy. What do the people want the Oilers to target?
Yeah, probably not that surprising of a result. What's your preference for the Oilers to acquire at the deadline? That second pairing right defenseman running away with it, 71%. Huge chunk of the vote. Third pairing right D plus a forward came in second at 14%. Third pairing left D and a forward, third 7%. Second pairing left D, last place 6%. Over 150 votes from the stream here, and lots of good conversation on the stream tonight too, and not too overreactive on the night of a tough loss and a rough first 20.
Yeah. Well, and that's the spot that Kulak is in a lot of nights, right? That second pair right shot. He had a bit of a bumpy night tonight. That's what we thought at the start of the year that the target would be. So I definitely think that target makes a lot of sense for the Oilers. All right, Struds, there were some other games out there today that had some effect on the Oilers. So why don't we go ahead and hop into our scoreboard, brought to you by Canadian Club. The all-new CC Classic 18-year-old high proof comes in at 58%. Their highest proof Canadian Club Classic to date is a full-bodied whiskey with aromas of caramel toffee, spicy vanilla, and rich oak with a butterscotch finish. So what else went on tonight, bud?
Yeah, quite a few games today. Oilers didn't impact them. I guess we could take a look at the Blues beating the Ducks 6-2. Ducks have been on a little decent run. The Avs 6-1 winners over the Wild. In progress in the second intermission, we have the Islanders beating the Vegas 3-0. So that's a bit of a surprise. Islanders only have 12 shots at this point. And then one that's interesting, I think, is the Rangers coming back with 2 power play goals to beat the Devils in overtime. And guess who scored that one? Sam Carrick in overtime. I said, what?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Familiar
Sam,
face. Yeah. What was he doing on the ice in overtime?
That's what I said. And I mean, I was like, what? I looked at it again. I'm like, who? Sam Carrick, overtime hero at Madison Square Garden.
Did you ever get thrown on the ice, Struds, at a surprising point in the game so much that you actually looked at your coach and needed to double check?
Yeah. Well, the first time in overtime, I with the Rangers, I'd always go the third partner. They'd go pair 1, pair 2, and then pair 3. And I was always like, is he serious? And one time I rewarded him with scoring a goal, but whatever. Let's not get into that story. But it's like, it was a surprise because most teams, you just sit there. You're not playing in overtime.
Yeah. I had it happen. I don't get into telling too many hockey stories because I barely played, but I did have a funny moment with it was actually ended up in my first goal. I was playing in Red Deer, and it was the first road trip of the year. And I was like a fourth line, borderline junior player. And Shaq, right? Ed Dempsey.
Sure.
There's like 2 minutes left in the game, and it's tied. And I had not played barely at all. Like basically hadn't played at all in the third period. 2 minutes left. He's like, Rish, go. And I actually looked at him and I said, me? He goes, yeah, go. So I hopped over the boards, skated to the front of the net, got cross-checked to the ice, and the puck was sitting there. I just slid it in like flat right on the ice into the back of the net, and that was my first goal. So yeah, I was stunned that he called my number in the last 2 minutes of a tie game. That was our scoreboard, brought to you by Canadian Club. All right, time to wrap up the show. And with that, we'll get to our Gallery Dental play of the day. Take the first step towards a stress-free dental experience, providing modern dentistry for today's patient with the most up-to-date dentistry, sedation, implants, and so much more. Contact GalleryDentalYEG.com. What do you got in mind, Struds?
Pretty cool moment in the Wild and Colorado game. We had two brothers play against each other for the first time. Jake and Keaton Middleton, both defensemen, played against each other. What a moment for the two brothers that they both made it, and they're both there. So really cool. I thought that was a really cool one for those guys.
Did they do the old picture?
I didn't see. I'm sure they did. I'm sure because the Geeky brothers, I think they did it as well. But because it's two D-men, obviously I'll recognize the D-men more than the forwards.
Right on. Before we roll the music, Zuby, I just wanted to take a second right now and pass out our most heartfelt condolences. We've talked many times on the show about Dave Parker. He is my ace cameraman. He is like a brother to me. We've been working together for the last 17 or 18 years. Anyways, the Parker family lost Lou, Dave's mom, this last week. And it's been a really tough couple of days for them. And just wanted to send our best wishes to Dave, his dad, his sister, their entire family. Had the pleasure of meeting Lou on a number of occasions. And anybody that knows Dave knows what a wonderful person he is. Very clear where that came from. She was an absolute delight, and it's been a real tough time for them. So just, Park, want you to know that we're thinking about you and thinking about the family. And by the way, we are overdue to have Dave Parker on this show, Struds. He is coming on this show someday soon. So we're thinking about you to the Parker family.
Yeah, all the best. That's never easy.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Zuby, nice job tonight, buddy. You got everything done. You corrected a couple of my mistakes. You squeezed in a bathroom break. It was an active night for you, buddy, but you killed it.
You know what? This is like Stu with the shutout the other night. I don't get the clean show tonight because I left for 2 minutes. It's not a shutout.
Yeah,
true.
Steve took part of it. Yeah. Struds, big win for your team today. What's happening, buddy? You guys
Yeah, we had a big win today. So the kids are working hard. Obviously, it's mostly coaching, but more games this weekend.
Taking all the credit, 100%. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. I'm getting on a plane tomorrow, coming home, and looking forward to a game on Saturday night. We'll drop a post-game pod then. Have a great night. Talk soon.